to Two Brothers Reviews, the show where we review films, TV shows, and games. We have an absolute banger this week. We have The Thing, 1982. Yep. 1982. Very excited about this one. Ethan?
There will be spoilers ahead for this movie. I mean, it's been out for 43 years now, so if you haven't watched it, we recommend you go watch it. But yeah, just to let you know, there will be spoilers ahead.
43 years, come on, guys. Honestly.
Actually, 43 years and 43 days to the day.
Really?
The 7th of August today. Yeah.
That's awesome. I like that. That kicks ass. Sweet.
But yeah, so wanted to say a couple of things about The Thing just before. This is going to be difficult. I'm going to say
Look at The Thing a lot.
I wrote things to mention, lol, because so it was shot in mainly British Columbia, Canada, and Alaska.
So that's Canada.
So a lot of it, was shot in those places, and that's why you get this really strong feeling of they are isolated in the middle of nowhere, in
right?
The ice, aren't they? I thought I should mention straight off the bat that the practical effects are amazing, aren't they?
Yeah, the practical effects can basically stand on their own 2 feet for this film. And do you know what's ironic? When this film first came out, people didn't like it. It wasn't well received because they said that the props and everything overwhelmed everything that was going on in the story, which is I totally disagree with. I think it only adds to the story, basically.
Yeah. So yeah, it cost 15 million to make, and it made just under 20 million. I think it was about 19 million. So like you said about it not being well received, didn't actually make that much, considering how much they spent on the movie.
Right.
That didn't really help the movie at all.
No.
And it also nearly damaged John Carpenter's career quite a lot.
Crazy.
That. So it is crazy to think, isn't it? Such a well-received movie now,
right,
had such a bad time of it when it came out. The film opens and we have the title screen of The Thing. But before that, we see the alien spaceship crash land on Earth, and we can see it land in the icy tundra that it crash lands in the film. So it gives you a inkling as to what's going on. You any time frame though as to when that happened at the time. But obviously later on in the film we do get an idea of how long that ship has been crashed in the ice.
And we have this lovely helicopter chase over the snow with this beautiful husky. Yeah, you can't help but feel for this dog as it's running away because obviously you have no context of what's going on. This Norwegian guy is just blindly firing at this dog, and yeah, very intense to begin with, but also quite sad because you're like, oh, poor dog. The dog runs close, and we get our first look at Station 4, and this is like the main grounds of where all of our antagonists are going to be, or protagonists. Sorry, excuse me.
But then we also get a shot of the people in their sort of chilling area where they're playing ping pong, aren't they?
Yeah, they're in like a rec room, aren't they, where they're chilling.
Idea that these people are relaxing in their outpost, and outside this is going on.
Right.
But you don't know how it's related, do you?
It's a big contrast as well, like the coldness of outside to the coziness of the rec room. It's very different, isn't it, to compare them together?
Definitely.
But I thought it was really good. That's a really good point to make. McReady drinks alone whilst playing chess with a computer. Yes, and we get this little bit where he loses and he calls the computer a cheater and he just dumps his drink in there. We will come to that a bit later because it has a bit of significance. I just made a note saying, damn, this dog can act, because there's a shot where the helicopter flies over the dog as it's running towards the station, and it basically ducks under the helicopter as it like whizzes by. So dog acting is kind of like a thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That you come across in films, and some do it really bad and some do it really well. I think the dog is called Jed in the movie. So Jed, throughout, even when he is like exploring inside, he looks very menacing in himself, and he gives us very subtle clues that he's not actually a dog, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Cool.
And I thought what was interesting is I've read this online that dog was actually half wolf.
Wow.
So it was already quite a standoffish dog, because the person who owned him and trained him said that the wolf part of him was more predominant than the dog part.
That's crazy.
So that's why he is a bit different to a normal dog, like you said, where the way he walks around.
So the dog runs into, I think it is Bennings outside, and basically jumps up on him. And the Norwegian guy comes out of the helicopter, and we basically get our first spoiler of the film. If you speak Norwegian, you find out that he's saying that the dog isn't actually a dog, it's a thing, and to get away from it, basically. And like, you can understand like why he's so frantic, because having been through everything that happened back at the Norwegian station, you know that he would shoot first and ask questions later.
Yeah.
So it's quite cool that we don't actually understand what's going on, but you know something's not quite right. And really funny moment before he actually shoots Bennings, he tries to throw a grenade and he just completely butterfingers it behind him.
Yeah.
And then he tries to go fishing for it in the snow.
I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Because the way it slips out of his hand is quite comedic, isn't it?
It's really good, yeah.
And you sort of like, how did that even happen?
Right.
But I guess you haven't lived in that condition, so you don't really know. You know, maybe the grenade was a bit slippery. He had a bit of ice on it.
It's hard to throw a grenade with gloves.
Yeah. And then what I thought was interesting as well is that they do mention briefly that the helicopter has loads of kerosene in, which is fuel.
Damn.
So
It would
they
just
were
go
obviously
up.
taking that to burn the dog if they caught it.
Oh, wow.
So that's why the helicopter explodes in the way it does, not just because there's a grenade next to it, because there's all this, there's helicopter fuel in it already, of course. There's also kerosene on board that they're going to pour over the dog if they manage to kill it.
I thought the explosion was like suspiciously big, but
Yes.
I thought it was just them being cinematic, but
That's what I
clearly
thought.
not. That's like
There
a
is a
really good
reason.
point. So the Norwegian pursues the dog after shooting Bennings.
Yeah.
And Gary just absolutely domes him through a window. He just smashes the window, puts a revolver through, and just puts one in his head.
Yeah.
Pretty good from Gary.
But
And
it's kind of showing his cowardice a bit, isn't it? Because he's inside, he doesn't go out, he stays inside, he draws his gun, he kind of gets the drop on him without him knowing, and then shoots him like, yeah, I did it. But it kind of shows that he's a bit of a coward, doesn't it?
a
Later
little
on,
bit.
you do see that, I think, that he is he's not leader material, is he?
I like that. I didn't, because I was about to say he is the leader, isn't he? You don't find it out until later, until he steps down. But like, it shows that he is the leader because he just took action immediately. But like you said, he did it in a very cowardly way. He didn't try and defuse it at all. He just saw a guy shooting and then just shot him.
Exactly.
Basically, I don't know if he even saw that he shot Bennings, but not that important.
He shoots the Norwegian in the head, and with that, all of our questions are gone. Because they cannot ask him anything. Even though there's a language barrier, they could probably still get information out of him if they got him, calmed him down, got him in the base. But no, bang, dead, and you just think, right, we can't find anything out from him. So I like it because it just puts you in the plot like, right, you just need to follow this story and see what happens. There's no easy way out of finding what's going on here.
I like
do you know
that.
what I mean? So
Yeah,
I thought that
excellent.
was quite cool.
Bennings is shot, and Mac gives him just a little bottle of JB
gets grazed,
to cool
doesn't
him
he?
down. Yeah.
Grazes him. I thought it actually went through him. I
No,
thought
he shoots him in the leg.
But it like grazes.
Right,
It gives
yeah,
him
yeah,
like
yeah.
a little. I
Got
thought
you.
it was like went through him.
Okay,
Because he
right.
doesn't react that much, does he?
And there's no blood, is there, when it happens? But no, that was pretty good. They share the bottle of whiskey, which is going to be very important as we go down the line when we start to speculate towards the end. But for now, we're literally just going to go on and read the movie for what it is and go through the scenes for what they are, and then we'll speculate at the end for the really big things, because I feel like we're going to run over.
And we might just indicate some things, but we won't go into it too much.
Yeah, not into grave detail. So we go to now, Doc is stitching up Bennings.
Yeah.
And he's just staring directly at the stitches whilst he's doing it. I don't know if you like watched that, but the doc is doing it on his leg. He's literally sat there.
Yeah,
Like
no.
that. And I would like, wouldn't that make it 10 times worse when you're having stitches? Just that when I get injections, I don't want to look because I don't want to tense my arm and make it worse.
He's like whining, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's like,
and he's like staring directly at it, and he's like, as you said, he's like, it's not too bad. It only grazed you.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I didn't actually realize that. I thought he just straight up shot him, and then he like pulled the bullet out and sewed him up. But you can tell by his abrasion that it's not massive. It just like
It just grazed
scraped him,
past him,
didn't he?
yeah, and that's why he didn't react that much.
We
But
cut to windows, and this guy is working to the bone. It seems like every time someone has a scene and comes in with him, they're always telling him to do more work.
Yeah.
When does Windows get time to like chill out and rest? You do see him in the rec room a bit later, but
he's on the radios a lot, isn't he?
He is. He's trying to reach out and communicate with people, and he basically says that it's probably not going to work, is it? Because if they can't communicate with anyone else, no one's going to be able to communicate with them.
Yeah.
Can have all the equipment they want, but they're in Antarctica, aren't they?
I think, yeah,
So-
that's where it's that's where they tell you it's set. It's the same year as well, isn't it? 1982.
Yeah, it's the same year.
Yeah.
I like that. I
Which
made a
is
note of
cool,
that where it
yeah.
says it's the same one as it films. We see Niles roller skate through. Very
Yeah.
80s.
Yes.
So as we know, roller skating was very popular towards, it's kind of like 60s, 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
But it's quite cool. That is like cool again, because it went away and then it comes back.
Yeah.
Like it has recently. It went away, it's not cool, and now it's back again and it's cool. Not nowadays, but like People roller skate. Like, you have seen it.
It's like phases, isn't it? Sort of, yeah. Like,
Excellent.
people will go through, like, liking it. But, I mean, it works in this movie, doesn't it? And Niles is quite a fun character, I think, as well at the start anyway. So it works with his character. Bennings gets stitched up.
Yep.
I think Gary comes to ask Doc and Mac to go check out the Norwegian base. Is there anything before that?
No, I just said that Palmer just antagonizes Gary, and I just put how allowed to bun with question marks.
And Palmer, he kind of is that character throughout the movie, isn't he? He's kind of the one who's like chopping shit and getting under people's skin a little bit. And like, there's one point where he gets asked to go with Windows, and he's like, I'm not going with Windows. And he's the one who always tries to kick up a bit of a fuss, I feel like.
I said Palmer seems a bit useless, and he uses it to his advantage, because in that scene he's like, oh, I'll go do this, and then they go, no, not you, and he's like, oh, all right, fine, and he seems like quite happy about it, like that was his plan all along.
Or maybe he's used to just being treated like that.
Right.
Like, he offers himself, but Mac's
nah.
better version than him to go help with that.
Interesting.
So he's just like, oh yeah, geez, thanks for thinking about it, like treating me like you always do. So yeah, Gary asks Mac to go out, fly the helicopter, because he's the helicopter pilot, isn't he?
Right.
So they can't go out without him.
Got you.
Mac's not sure. He says the wind's a bit much. Doc says, we won't go unless you want to go. But Mac, being who he is, he agrees to go. Probably wants to find out what's going on at that base after all the shooting that went on in their camp.
It's good. They fly off, and the seed is planted, because you can see the dog watching the helicopter as it flies off, and you know the best people.
Starts, doesn't it?
Right. The Thing theme kicks in. This lovely like singular note that really like makes you uneasy. And I really made a note of this, because it's like the three most useful in quotation marks, I would say strongest, they go away, and the Thing is now left with all the other randoms.
Exactly.
That he can just randomly assimilate whenever he wants, and you wouldn't really notice, because some of them are really background characters, like Norris, for example.
Yeah.
The cat comes out of the bag later on in the film, but you have no idea, because I didn't even know his name until I was halfway through watching the film. I was like, who is this guy? And then he's mentioned in the end, like, because they're all called like by their last name, or they have like a nickname or something like that. So
and also, because they all wear this winter wear, I made a note of mentioning this. It's really hard to tell who's who, and when they speak, unless they have a very distinct voice or accent, you can't say for sure that it's this person. And unless it's like Mac, do you know what I mean? Who's like the main character, and you can see he's got his sombrero on or whatever it is.
Yeah, or the big beard.
But other people, it's a bit harder to decipher. You really have to stop and think about it and pause it and be like, who actually went out with him here, or who stayed back, and then cross people off the list in a way. So
good.
I thought that's good with, who the Thing is. You just don't know, because you don't know who's who half the time. Yeah,
that's really good. Niles is asked to turn the music down because he's playing Superstitious by Stevie Wonder. He's jamming out. Obviously, Bennings has just been shot, so it's quite understandable. But like he literally he puts his hand up to the boombox and he just takes it away.
I thought he touched it a tiny bit, but I don't think he does he?
He literally goes to do it, and then he goes, exactly. So that was quite funny. You said he's quite a funny character, so he does play into that a little bit. Yeah. As that Superstitious song is playing, you get a low shot of the dog, which is really good to be from his perspective. And the part of the song says, when you believe in things that you don't understand. Yeah. So it's a nice shot, just being like, no one knows what this thing can do or what it's capable of yet. Yeah. And it's capable of a lot. Yeah. It's very, very smart, isn't it?
And that's one point that I wanted to make, is that the dog, it kind of just moseys around and relaxes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It acts like a dog in a very intelligent way, so that it doesn't draw any suspicion to it, and it sits under, I think, the ping pong table,
right,
as Mac and, like you said, the main characters who you think are the most reliable are taking off, and it's almost like it's waiting for them to leave, isn't it?
That's so good.
And then as soon as they leave, it starts walking around the compound, and it doesn't blow everything up, it doesn't start changing everything straight away, but it starts to see who's isolated, doesn't it? And that's where we see, like you said about it being very standoffish sort of dog, it walks around, you can see it's not behaving like a normal dog, is it? How it's walking around the compound.
So where we are, Bennings has just come out to shout at Niles. The dog has tried to go into Bennings' room. He's not there. So then it diverts and goes somewhere else. And we get this silhouette of this person, right?
Which is really important,
This is the first assimilation of the film. It's got to be, like, there's no speculation about this. But the funny thing is about this is that not every single person, but like loads of people think that it's Palmer. because of the silhouette and his big like his little throw that he's got like going on. But funnily enough, they used a stunt double for Kurt Russell because again they want to just shroud it in mystery and just be like, it looks like him but it's not actually him. So people think it's Palmer from the silhouette, but it's actually Norris. So I said in my
it's
notes,
actually neither of them acting as the silhouette. It's a completely different person.
Because so it just throws
so
you
that
off
you
completely.
don't know for sure who it is, which is really clever, isn't it?
It's really good. I thought it was very smart that they did that. But yeah, we've got our first assimilation supposedly of the movie. Yeah. So we've got Norris.
Yes.
I like that. They discover the thing in a capsule. We'll cut back to the trio that we've got checking out the ship now. And they turn up to the site and they get sort of their first impression of the thing's mimicking ability because they don't know what it is 100%, but they find like a charred corpse in the snow and they're like, what is that? Is it a man? Is it they don't say is it a thing, they're like, is it a man? Is it this? Is it that? So they're speculating and they're like, it looks like a man but it's not. So there's sort of like this grating where it's like it's going to sort of have like this mimicking ability.
And the Doc recognises that, doesn't he? Because he sort of says, is there a man in there somewhere? But he's trying to understand how there could be a man amongst that amalgamation of flesh and cells or whatever you want to call it. Because it's partly buried and burnt, you can't really see it either, can you? So you don't really see what they see. You see what they're looking at and you see bits, sort of corners of it. But you don't get a detailed shot of what they're looking at, which I think also helps with being like, what the hell is going on here, sort of thing.
And they sort of learn that fire is useful because the whole camp is burned down. There's charred corpses all over the place, and they sort of get this inkling like they use fire, like they burned it with fire. Yeah, we don't want to touch on this too much because I don't even know if I'll be able to show the scene on YouTube, but we've got this guy who has just taken a razor blade to his neck and his wrists. And it's like, again, it gives you this really eerie feeling that like, what was so bad that someone couldn't even just face it? They just straight up decided to end it all, like right there.
And his wrists are cut and the blood is frozen. But not just that, his neck is completely sliced, isn't it? Not just like when you slit someone's throat, it's almost half decapitated, like it's going to nearly come off, but it hasn't.
So are you speculating that he did it really hard to himself, or the thing has...
Maybe he tried to, but then while he was bleeding out, the thing just came and assimilated him anyway, because why not? It wants to learn, doesn't it? It wants to absorb whatever it can. So what's it to him absorbing that person? But
very interesting.
You don't really know. And I think that scares you and sort of not thrills you, but it makes you think like, what made this guy do this or what happened to him? And then they also find some documents and videotapes that they take back with them, don't
really
they?
Good,
which comes in a bit later on when Doc's analysing things. Blair's it's mainly Blair, isn't it, who's analysing.
He is Dr. Blair though. So when I say Doc, I mean Dr. Copper, because they call him Doc, but Blair is just Blair, isn't he? But they are both doctors.
And that's another thing that's confusing. They don't establish that there are two doctors. You think that Doc's the only one,
right?
But Blair is also, isn't he? So it's quite like confusing about who's Blair and who's Doc and which one's the doctor. That when I first watched it, that confused me.
So they get the research. They dip. They come back and they're going to do an autopsy on this weird charred corpse that they found. And this dog is watching the entire time. And it's basically, it just proves that the dog has higher intelligence, doesn't it? Because you see them kind of come back and the dog kind of goes, oh shit. And then he kind of goes away, doesn't he? So whilst they're all busy, he can like go off and crack on and do whatever. But
he's always watching and considering when's the best time to make his move, isn't he? This dog. And I think the intelligence comes from the things need to survive. I think that's the main drive, because it doesn't show... Because obviously it built that spaceship to get to Earth, but that wasn't the thing. That was something that it took over that could have built that spaceship. Assimilated something, like an alien life form. But if it was smart enough, it would build it itself. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost like a primal thing. It's like a life form that is intelligent without realising it's intelligent, which I thought makes it even scarier in a way.
It's just that guy.
Literally, just got some mad stuff going on.
Autopsy is done in front of everyone. The room is dead silent, and the dog is still watching them. So it's almost like the dog is waiting for something to happen with the corpse, but obviously nothing really does happen, but we get this lovely, like, bit of info.
It's so smoky as well, isn't it?
It's very smoky. I bet the smell in there was unreal as well, like, not good at all. Poor windows. They run in on him again. and they keep on bugging him to like to get a signal out or try and get a hold of someone. And it's
he says
again,
he hasn't heard from people in 2 weeks, doesn't he, or something like that. So he's like, what's the point, sort of thing? But he still tries.
I wrote, come on, isn't going to help, because all everyone does is just come in and go, come on, get a hold of something, come on. And he's just like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Like,
they treat him so badly, don't they? Like, he's
wizard.
sleeping and he's got the headset on, and I think Gary comes in and like blares into it, and he's like, it's like that's like the worst thing you could do to someone when they're sleeping, isn't it? Like, that feedback in their ears. They all sort of, after they do the autopsy, they all kind of chill a little bit, don't they?
That's right.
Things sort of mellow down and people go their separate ways to relax and have a bit of time off doing what they do around the outpost. The dog comes through the, should we call it the recreational room, and it jump scares Bennings, I think. It goes like under his legs or something like that. And apparently it was really hard to get the dog to do that because it was really scared of going through past that many people.
It like brushes his leg, and it like if you were stationed in a post in Antarctica and you felt something hairy brush against your leg under the table, that it's not normal, is it? It's like when our mum has her man over and we have a dog under the table and I'll accidentally kick it, and it's like, well, a dog's never under the table, so
you're not used to it.
It will really startle him. We have Palmer and Charles, they share a joint. So again, we're not going to go really into detail with this, but this is really, really important for later. I'm going to come back to this, but everyone's chilling in the rec room. Charles and Palmer share a joint. And I actually got to the bottom of how he can smoke so much weed, and I will get to that in a minute.
Okay.
Clark is told to put the new dog with the rest, isn't he? So Clark is the dog guy, isn't he? He's like the animal.
Yes,
of the station.
And he's a bit of he seems a bit different to the rest of the characters. I don't know if you thought this when you saw him, but I got a different vibe from him. And the actor who played him actually said that he played the guy as if he was a bit of an outcast and he preferred to be with animals than humans. That's
interesting.
Why he is the dog handler. That's why he got the role, because he told John Carpenter that, and John was like, I quite like that. I think you'd be good in this role. So that makes you suspicious of him as well throughout the movie, because he always seems like he's not really on the human side. He always worries about the dogs more than the humans, doesn't he?
He takes a new dog and he puts him with the rest, and the dog very, very uneasily sits down. It's almost like he didn't do it because it wanted to. He was just doing it because all the other dogs were doing it. Again, just with this mimicking, he was like, I'm in a room with all these dogs. Maybe I should just sit down. Probably sit down.
Yeah, you're right. And then he sort of sits there awkwardly for a second, doesn't he? And the other dogs don't instantly go at him, but pretty quickly they realise that there's something up with this dog. They call it the dog thing, don't they?
I think so.
In the movie,
I call, whenever anyone's in Simulated, I call them their name, the thing.
Right.
So like we'll see as we go on.
Yeah.
So the dog starts to like convulse and freak out. It starts to shift and change, and the props again in this film are just insane. Like, I remember watching the film first time, and watching all of these visual effects, it genuinely made me feel sick for some of them.
It's like leeches coming out, isn't it? And all these long tendril things that attach to things, and then it's almost like the head falls off. It like rolls off it, but kind of it transforms into like a sort of mouth, I think. It's just it's hard to describe, isn't it? Because
it's really hard to describe.
Horrific it is.
I think we're doing an all right job, though. Clark returns, and he manages to contain the thing. So, like, some dogs break out and bust the door as he opens it, but then he manages to, like, get a swift kick in and shut the thing. He kind of, like, shuts one of its tentacles in the door and then closes it for real.
And it's assimilating the remaining dogs in there, isn't it? And you can see them all sort of getting their cells getting completely changed, and it looks really horrible with all the sort of liquid that gets, it sprays liquid at one of the dogs, doesn't it? Just to give you that even more like goriness and feeling of unease, I think.
It's a pretty tough scene to watch, isn't it? Especially if you're an animal lover. It's not nice to watch these dogs get like showered in. It's almost like acid, isn't it? It doesn't burn them, but it's sort of like softening them up
to be assimilated. Yeah.
Excellent. So they don't. There's no bullshit. They get Charles and they say, get the flamethrower.
And it grabs on the dog thing grabs onto the ceiling, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it sort of hoists itself up. And that's when Charles, I think, arrives with the flamethrower. And I think Max says, get in there. And he, as he goes to spray the flamethrower, did you see that the thing shoots out a sort of tendril thing at him? It's kind of like
it tries
a mouth, isn't it?
It's like, it tries to get him.
But obviously, too little, too late. It gets incinerated. It just gives you an inkling of what else is to come as well, and what it can do, how it attacks people.
Crazy. As it's sort of like sprouting up to grab that roof before Childs comes in, you see it's almost changed into like a wall. It's like a wall with like bulging eyes in it, and there's pretty much everyone in the group witnesses this, but I find it's really confusing to me that as we go on through the story, people are still speculating about what's going on, and it's like you literally watched a husky turn into a weird creature with arms that can grab the ceiling, and then it turned into a wall with eyes, and you're still not on board with like what's going on and the fact that it can change and shift. That's something that I just thought was a little bit weird.
Definitely.
Half dog, half thing is terrifying.
And it kind of looks like a demogorgon a little bit, with how its sort of mouth opens up and at the start, but then it quickly changes into this mass of different creatures, doesn't it?
It's just like a mass of flesh, isn't it? You cannot like tell what it is. They torch it pretty good. Tensions are high. A lot of people think that it escapes, but it just grabs onto the ceiling, it gets torched, and it falls back down. So it does not escape from the dog kennel. Dr. Cooper performs another autopsy because we have another charred, burn remains. So there's another autopsy that's going on, and we get our proper big reveal about how the thing works.
It also gives you an indication of what the thing was trying to do. So they caught it while it was mid-assimilation, I think. So if they'd let it go for longer, it probably would have transformed itself back into just one dog or something like that. So they wouldn't have known what had happened, but because they caught it and they shot it and burnt it, they sort of caught it in the act. So I think that was in a way to show that this is one stage, but it wasn't the final stage.
And it's scary at how the first stage is less scary than the final stage, but the final stage is capable of so much more, because as we press on in the film, we see that it plants seeds of doubt in people's minds. It doesn't have to physically do things. It literally just like leave something here, leave something there, and it just completely flips everyone else on their head. Like they don't know what's going on at all. There's a big emphasis on absorption and assimilation. So these are big words that we're going to be using in the film. And basically, the thing can absorb something into itself, and then it can mimic and imitate it to almost perfect standard, can't it?
And also, I think important to mention is that it can separate parts of itself. So that's how it can survive as well. So we see that later on in the film, don't we? But it can operate independently of itself. So it's not just one being, if that makes sense. It's like a virus. It splits, and each virus or thing is its own thing.
It's crazy to think about, isn't it? It makes it even scarier, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Suspicion arises when Copper finds out that Clark didn't put the dog away for an entire day, and that plants a seed of doubt straight away that something is not going on. Like this dog has
Clark,
been.
You mean that Clark's a bit suspicious,
right?
Yes.
So he's basically that's kind of what I was getting.
No,
at.
I'd agree. I noticed that as well. Bennings looks at him a bit like, why didn't you put the dog away? Like all the others are put away. So the group watches the videotape that they brought back from the Norwegian base, and what they discover is that the Norwegians were digging for something, and you just think, oh God, this is getting worse and worse, don't you? Digging in the ice for something that's probably been buried there for thousands of years is probably not a good idea. This prompts Mac, Palmer, and I think, actually I'm not sure, it's Mac and two other people to go to the Norwegian base to check what they were doing out there from these videotapes. I don't know if he goes with Norris or not, because they're all, as I said about them being covered in their winter wear, you can tell it's Mac because of his outfit, but the other two it's quite hard to tell. So I wrote Palmer and Norris, but I don't know if it actually is them.
It
sounds like them.
Yeah. So obviously it's definitely Mac. Norris is definitely there.
I don't know
it
who
could
the
be
third
anyone
is.
else. I'd have to rewatch
But
it.
it's just important to note, isn't it? Because if we're struggling to know, and we've watched it a couple times recently now, when you first watched it, you really have no idea.
They find the crash site.
Yeah.
They find out that the thing has been buried for thousands of years.
They discover the alien ship first, don't they? Because they've uncovered it, and it's all in the ice, and the hatch is open, isn't it? And I thought that was strange, because have they opened that hatch? But then it gets explained that, like you said, the alien, the thing, crash landed there. Norris thinks it's 100,000 years ago, at least. So it crash landed there, and then it actually crawled out of its ship to try and escape, and then it froze in the ice, didn't it? So it just shows the level that this being is willing to go to survive.
Right.
He could have just stayed in his ship, do you know what I mean, and just chilled in there. But it was like, no, I'm going to try and go out and assimilate something to survive. So yeah, it freezes in the ice and it's left there, and that's where the Norwegians find it, and they dig that box, obviously, to take out of the ice and take it back to their...
And why would you do that? Why would you dig an alien out the ice and bring it back to your base to thaw it out? Like, what are you actually thinking?
In the most isolated place with barely any support. I think they said that the team was there for 8 weeks, the Norwegian team. So
we return to Outpost 31, and you see Palmer break off a massive bit of hash from a rock. Did you notice this?
No, I missed that.
So he has a massive rock of hash in his hand, and he breaks off a piece because he's starting to like build, basically.
Right.
I just thought, so I was quite happy with myself. I found out how he's able to smoke so much. He just brings bare hash with him.
Yeah,
and then you can just
block of
break it off piece by piece and just have as much as you want.
yes.
Niles finds ripped drawers in the kitchen bin. They're like,
Yes.
they're long johns, aren't they?
And I think it's important to mention that Mac, Norris and Palmer go back to the crew and they tell them everything that they found at the crash site. You know,
Good.
there's no hidden knowledge.
Yeah.
Everyone's on the same page.
Okay.
There was a ship there. They found something in the ice. You know, Doc says, was it an animal? Was it, you know, were they looking for something in particular? He doesn't think it's an alien, but they let everyone know that something fishy is going on at that base. Charles thinks it's BS, and the Doc doesn't even give his opinion. I think when the camera goes to Doc, it just slowly fades out and it does that sort of slow cut to black, and he's not able to actually tell you what he thinks, which I found really frustrating, but also really good because he's the one I wanted to hear his opinion the most.
Yeah, and he basically goes off independently, and we get this weird little visualization of what, in case you didn't understand from the autopsy scene, you basically get a really good idea of how the thing comes in and just assimilates basically anything. It can replicate whatever it wants.
Yeah.
But if you're a visual learner, that's there for you. It says 75% of chance that one of the crew is already assimilated. Blair is extremely paranoid.
Blair is the one who runs these simulations, and yeah, so he sees that 75% chance, and then he does another simulation, doesn't he, to see how long it would take for the whole world to be infected, and it's 27,000 hours, which I think equals to 3 years. So
Right.
within 3 years, the whole world would be assimilated, basically.
That's crazy to think about.
So I think this is when Blair starts to fall into madness a bit. Well, not madness, but he starts to panic because his intelligence, he realizes this is a world-ending event sort of thing,
Yes.
and they have to contain this. And he doesn't straight away go crazy, does he? But I think that was the first point where he starts to think, I need to do something here, and takes it on himself, doesn't he?
And doesn't go without notice, because Fuchs goes to Mac basically straight away and says, can I speak to you in private? This is very important. Going off from that, we have them moving the thing that they found at the Norwegian station. They're transferring it into some sort of locker. Is it like the tool shed or something? I think it's like a tool shed,
think
something
so,
like
yeah.
that. And Bennings calls the thing the find of the century, which is, I know it's true, but I found it very, very strange that he is like, he's really impressed by it, isn't he?
And he's not understanding the gravity of the situation that he's in.
Not at all.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was getting at. He's basically like going, you can't kill that, it's cool,
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And I just thought, why would you want to keep this thing around? Like, he says that's going to win someone the Nobel Prize. And it's like, well, I'd rather have my life than win the Nobel Prize.
He's still not understanding that his life is on the line here. And yeah, I think it plays into his character because he's quite jokey, but at the same time, it's like, you've seen everything that everyone else has seen here. It's not looking good for you, mate.
Yeah. So Bennings orders Windows to go do something, goes out the room, and we see a little twitch from the corpse that they put on the table. We'll come back to that because that is the next scene after this. We cut to Fuchs and Mac talking about Blair.
Yes.
And I just literally want to quote the entire thing that he says because I think it's so cool. It could have assimilated 1 million life forms on 1 million planets. It could change into any one of them at any time. Now it wants life forms on Earth. It needs to be alone and in close proximity with a life form to be absorbed. The chameleon strikes in the dark. There's still cellular activity in these burned remains. They're not dead yet.
Yeah.
That's like
Harrowing.
that will make you shiver.
That's
like when you're
harrowing
watching the
stuff.
film, when they're alone in that, I think they're in a tractor, and the silence after he reads out that last bit where he says there's still cellular activity, they're not dead yet. You really know you're like, oh my god, this is
think-
about to kick off.
Is it just before that they show the remains moving under the tarp.
That's
or the
what I
blanket,
said when the
don't
thing
they?
twitches before,
Which
like
just
as
hits
Windows
home
goes
even
out.
more that even though they think that this burnt charred thing is dead, it's still part of the thing, which
Right.
is really crazy to think, isn't it? Because that's been miles away from the thing in another base, sitting in the snow, but it's still kicking.
Crazy.
Yeah.
We cut back to Windows and Bennings. Windows walks in on Bennings being completely assimilated. It's
Yeah.
absolutely haunting scene to watch. I don't think I took any screenshots of that
No.
one because I was just like, there is no way you could possibly show any of this. He's basically
No.
like wrapped up almost in a cocoon of tendrils, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's currently being absorbed as Windows walks in on him.
And you
So
don't actually see the thing itself, do you? You just see him being assimilated into the thing, which just plays into it further when you do see the real thing later on. And then he vanishes pretty much instantly, doesn't he? Windows drops the keys and leaves the room. And by the time he gets Mac to come back and check, Bennings is gone, isn't he? And it's
Yeah.
literally been 20 seconds, if that.
So you hear Windows get spooked and audibly drop the keys in his hand.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, by the time he comes back, there is no evidence of the thing being there at all.
Apart from the smashed window. But that, you mean...
I mean, initially, so we had the corner where he was being assimilated. They all run back in. You cut to that same corner, and the ground isn't even wet
no blood
or anything
or,
like that. And it's
nothing,
just, I thought that's quite scary in itself because they didn't even show anything. It's the lack of what they showed where you're like, how has it done this? Like, how is it so clean?
Yeah.
How is it so tightly knit? Like, again, it's intelligent. It works very well.
Yes.
The keys are quite important,
Yeah, they
not
are.
crazy important, but you get a bit of context as to why arguments begin to break out as the
Yes.
film goes on. So, continuing on, Mac,
So-
Fugues, and Windows find Bennings, and he's escaped out the window.
Yeah. So they chase Bennings as he's gone out the window, and they find him in the snow, don't they? And he's already been partly assimilated. His hand, I don't even know what is going on with his hands. They're sort of like claw/tendril things.
Yeah.
But he's not been obviously fully assimilated because he's been caught. So the thing is kind of sacrificing Bennings in a way, isn't it? To say, all right, you got me here, but I've got one of you. But does its weird noise, doesn't it?
I said this was like an imitation of someone screaming.
Interesting.
Because it's just like, it doesn't know what to do. That it'll be like, what does someone screaming sound
Shall I do
like?
it?
And then it tries to like... It's pretty awful. I've got the screen. I'll put that over the screenshot as well. But yeah, I just said, my God, that noise is horrifying.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's imitating a human scream.
And it doesn't know how to do it properly, so it's just
No.
doing the best it can. And yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
It's harrowing.
They pour gasoline at his feet and they just burn him.
Yeah.
They're not messing around now. They know when someone's assimilated, they're gone, and they just got to burn them as quick as possible. Cuts away from what's just happened, and Gary is a bit distraught because Gary has known Bennings for so long. He doesn't understand how that wasn't Bennings. And again, I said this earlier. I said you literally watched a husky turn into a wall and try and climb out of a ceiling, and you don't think that your best friend could turn into like one of them.
Yeah.
So I understand that. Yeah, I've known him for 10 years. How could that have happened? But it's like there's been multiple occasions where you've seen the thing do its
Do
thing,
that. Yeah.
and you're still not on board. Gary's a bit of a senior guy.
He's in
He has a bit of
denial,
a senior
isn't he?
over, doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely in denial at that point. He doesn't want to have lost his friend, but he has, and he's losing control of the situation as the leader. He definitely is denying it and doesn't want to believe what's in front of his eyes. And I think it's important to mention while this is going on, Blair has gone missing, hasn't he?
Yep.
Because I think Fuchs mentions that Blair's notes, and he's been writing some crazy stuff.
Not a good mix to find someone's mad ramblings and then find out that they're also missing
Yes.
in like an isolated place. After that, Max spots Blair fleeing from the helicopter, and he's basically taken a fire axe to the entire thing. You have the scene with Gary and Mac. Mac explains to him basically again like what's going on. He said it doesn't care, it can imitate anything, anyone.
Yeah.
Find out that Blair's missing, and then but almost in the same beat, Mac spots Blair, and he's not chopping up the helicopter, but he's inside being mysterious,
Right.
and he sees him bolt off.
That's
The
what he
helicopter is
needs.
just completely mangled.
Right.
So this is obviously number one, it's Blair being paranoid. Number two, for a good reason, because he knows that not even one thing can get out and escape. So he's
Yes.
taking away all means of the thing being able to escape and get to the real world.
Smashing Hellions apart.
After that happens, Max sees the helicopter and he's like, what the hell? He hears a gunshot. And then that's him going to find Blair, what he's doing,
He's
and they
going
basically
mental, yeah.
they run up on Blair, and he's axing up the comms room, isn't he? He's axing
Yes.
up all the radio equipment, and Mac regroups with the others who are gathered outside. They tell them that he's got a gun,
Yeah.
and they're gonna try and like find a way to defuse the situation.
Talk him down a bit.
And Windows is in the corner and he's bleeding, so Blair has obviously gone in, beating him out of the
Yes.
way, and he's kind of cowering in the corner whilst Blair's just taking an axe to all this equipment.
Yeah. And you can tell Blair is kind of lost it, because otherwise he would probably go for Windows if he was really had lost it. But he's trying to control the situation by busting up the comms, by stopping them from stopping him doing that, because he thinks that he just needs to stop any communication or any way of that thing getting out.
Charles returns from checking other bits of equipment because Mac tells him up to do that after the heli's destroyed, and we get the reveal that Blair's killed all the dogs as well as just smashed up the helis and destroyed everything else. It's pretty brutal, but it just goes to show the level of his paranoia. He's he's not having it anymore. He's just killing anything that could possibly be assimilated.
And at that point, they decide to lock him in the shack, don't they? The little tool shed.
Yeah. They find a table from the lab and they rush in with the table, and McCready gets a lovely little like two bang in. I don't know if you saw that. So they all like tackle him.
You hear him go, oh.
Yeah, McCready gives him like two proper good punches. Yeah, and then they go to lock him up, don't they?
Yeah, and I think he's not infected at that point, because I think even though he's acting manically, he's still acting in a way that's human and not what the thing would want to do. So I think at that point when they lock him in there, he's
still
not,
human.
Yeah, he's
okay.
not assimilated. Yeah,
and we'll speculate on that later.
Yeah,
they tell him. Blair tells them to watch Clark because he's always been suspicious of him, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So that's going to be like the number one guy.
And I
his
thought that
list.
was really clever, because you don't know if Blair is assimilated. You don't know if Clark is. So you don't know if it's an assimilated thing telling him to watch something that's already assimilated,
Mad.
or if it's playing him against his own kind. So it's quite clever in that way. And in the end, we do find out that Clark isn't assimilated, but we'll get to that.
So
later.
we get this next bit that really drives the story forward because it really puts them in a bad situation. Dr. Copper theorizes a blood serum test, which is different to the blood test later in the scene. They're basically going to mix infected blood with normal blood. Yeah. If there's a reaction, then it's done. And that seems a lot simpler than what they end up doing later.
Yeah.
But it makes sense that the doctor would have a very cut and dry way of finding out. And then we come to find out that someone's broken into the containment of all the blood and they've just smashed everything, basically, so none of the blood can be used.
Yeah. And this is where the distrust, which is already there, really comes forth, doesn't it? Because Gary gets questioned as leadership, but then Doc as well, because he has access to the keys. But then, as we mentioned earlier, Windows dropped the keys, so anyone could have picked those up at any time. So yeah, again, it just sows this distrust amongst everyone, doesn't it?
It's really good. You get sort of this realization on everyone's face where you're like, shit's getting real now. Like, it's not just grabbing people and assimilating them. It's taking equipment. It's destroying stuff that they can use to help find out what they need. They're starting to find out the intelligence of a thing, aren't they? Instead of it just being like this monstrous thing.
Yeah.
So the crew is very skeptical because Gary and Copper have access to the fridge.
Yeah.
But Windows again gets spooked and runs off.
Yeah.
He was the last one with the keys. He dropped them, so everyone's going to think it's me.
Right,
So
I didn't think about that.
So we get
Yeah.
Windows, bolts away. He goes for the gun safe, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Everyone chases after him. McCready manages to defuse the situation, but then there's this question of leadership that comes into play.
Yes.
So Gary does step down.
Yeah, very willingly, doesn't he?
Tries to nominate Norris to step up.
Norris declines. He says, "I'm not cut out for it," and I wonder why that is.
I wonder why. Very interesting,
and then
isn't
also,
it?
doesn't Childs try and take it?
He tries to
by
take the
force,
gun.
really. He's like, "I'll do it," and then they haven't even discussed it. And Clark's like, "Hold up."
McCready says, "I think someone should do it with a more level head."
Yes.
Because he's always, Charles just always straight to the most violent solution, isn't he? He's always
or
like
saying
just
that
trying to get
that's
it done.
bullshit, or this is he always has an opinion.
He loves to dismiss everything,
Yes,
doesn't he? Like quite a
yes.
lot. If it doesn't make sense to him, then it doesn't make sense, like at all, basically. The standoff is diffused by Mac. Really good. He takes charge.
Yeah. And he's always the level-headed one in this film, isn't he? He's always the one driving everyone forward, keeping everyone sane. But yeah, so Max steps up and he becomes the leader.
Good. And he separates, so that we get this scene where they're outside and they're burning the rest of whatever they've got.
Yeah.
Right. And Mac basically separates Doc, Clark, and Gary, and tells Norris to shoot him up with morphine.
Yes.
In the rec room. Very interesting, but those are kind of like our top 3 suspects, aren't they?
They are.
And I thought it was a very good guess from McCready. He is just guessing, isn't he? But those are our, even though I think all 3 of them aren't even assimilated.
No.
Those are our like top 3, aren't they?
They are.
Gary's the leader, he had the keys. Clark has always been spooky and booky. And is it Copper or Blair that's been taken? It's Copper, isn't it?
Copper,
Because
yeah.
Blair's been locked in the shed.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So and then
Copper's always been the sort of the voice of reason, the scientist. But even him, you're like, oh, but that would be the perfect target because the Doc sees everyone, doesn't he? He's a doctor, for God's sake. So yeah, you get this segregation of the cast, which is not the last time it happens.
No.
But I really like that. I thought it's trying to tell you who to suspect, but wrongly as well. It's kind of subverting your expectations in a way, isn't it?
Yeah. Whilst this tying up scene is sort of going on, the shooting up scene, I should say.
Yes.
Mac does sort of like a secret tape recording to himself, and he makes it very apparent that the thing rips your clothes.
Yes.
Whilst he's holding the ripped long johns that were found in the bin.
That's one thing that he discovered, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and he says he's going to hide the tape. So maybe anyone who finds it can have at least like a fighting chance of like knowing what they're up against.
Yes.
And Fugues suggests to McCready as well that everyone should prepare their own meals and no one should share anything.
Yes. Which is really important
It's
as well.
very important. Along with the
film.
clothes, it's like probably one of the biggest things in the film, isn't it? Where this infection can be just spread through saliva, can't it? Or
Yes.
anything. Doesn't need to do something in an elaborate way. It can just get you off of like sharing a drink.
Exactly.
Or something like that.
Just the subtle things. So even though Fuchs and Mac are the only ones talking about this, you do get the feeling that they're going to spread that to everyone. You know, everyone needs to prepare their own meals because they don't, as a group, they don't discuss it, do
No.
they? It's just them two. Because of how the film's set up and all the details, you know that they would have passed that information on to
Well,
the
it's
rest of the
important
crew.
to know, isn't it?
'Cause
So
that's what they
everyone's
do.
on the same page.
They all
isn't
share
it?
the information
Right.
that they have. It's not one of those movies where someone hoards one piece of information. Like even the ripped clothes stuff, they all know that as well. That comes into it later on, where Mac's ripped clothes are found by Knowles. But we'll get to that as well.
So the lights die, and Fugue sees a figure just flash past him in the dark.
Yes.
And that horrible noise that it makes when it goes past.
And you can't see what it is at all, can
No,
you?
it almost looks like a cloaked figure,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah.
I just mean like this horrible noise as it darts by. It's never a welcome thing in the film. It's always the thing that's like traveling around, isn't it? Where it
Yes.
has that horrible noise where it darts across.
And it doesn't look human at all with the way it just glides across. And you kind of don't want Fuchs to follow it, but you kind of do. And he does follow it, doesn't he?
He does give chase, and he finds a McCready jacket with a big rip in it.
Yeah.
And I just wrote crazy work from the thing because it's already starting to plant this more seed of doubt in people where he can just leave an item of clothing somewhere.
Yeah.
And he'll get someone killed.
And
basically for
McCready
that.
has literally just picked up the mantle of leader, and not even however long it is later, an hour later, it's not much longer. It's trying to get rid of him because it knows he's a threat. Because he's a better leader than Gary, isn't he?
Pretty crazy to think that that's the way it's working.
So yeah, like we said about its intelligence, just its survival instinct. It knows get this guy gone if you want to have a better chance of surviving, sort of thing. It's like kind of crazy.
So Fugues then goes missing, and they break out in teams to search for him. And Norris is left to watch Doc, Clark, and Gary. Basically,
Yes.
They visit Blair and ask if they've seen Fugues. And we get this crazy shot that he's just made a noose in his like little cabin, hasn't he?
Yes.
And he, while saying he's okay and he's fine to come back inside, he's got a noose hanging next to him.
And
Basically.
I think this is where we know that he is assimilated because it's such a big change.
Yeah.
And again, he's a smart guy. He would have known to not come back to the group. He would have said, if there's a chance I wouldn't want to go back. He'd want to stay on his own.
Wow.
And now he's saying, let me in, please. I'm better now. I'm better now. Do you know what I mean? Better in what way? More than human now?
I wrote reverse psychology because he's just like, let me in. And they're just like, no. And then he just has more time to work on what he's doing because he is assimilated at this point, isn't? I would agree with that, where he's so much more sort of like conniving.
He's mellow, isn't he?
Because like if they would have let him back in, great. If they don't, great. He's set either way, so it did not matter to him at all.
And the noose is just there to say, I considered it, but do you know what I mean? Like, it's just a play,
It's like,
isn't it? It's just for show, I think. Like, maybe he did tie it before he was assimilated, But now he is assimilated, there's no chance he's going to use that noose, and it wouldn't do anything anyway, would it? So.
No. On their way back, Mac, Niles, and Windows, they find Fuchs' remains, and they speculate how he died.
Yes.
Because they don't know.
It's really strange, isn't it, this one? Because you have no idea how... Because they say he's been burnt, but if he's been burnt, then why would the thing do that? Because it hates fire. So they suggest that Fuchs maybe burnt himself to stop any further problems coming.
Crazy.
Which does make sense. Something
It does.
Seems like he's the type of guy that might sacrifice himself.
But a gruesome way to go out. Can you imagine setting yourself on fire and burning to death out in the snow? It's like...
Like before being nearly assimilated. Oh, no, it doesn't sound good. Not at all.
As they discover Fuchs, Mac and Niles decide to go up to Mac's shack because he turned the lights off days ago, but now it shows that there's a light still on.
Yeah.
So they say, go back and tell them we found Fuchs. We're going to go and check the shack.
So that's where those three get split into 2 and 1. And this is where Mac and, like you said, Knowles go to Mac's shed. But this is where Mac and Knowles have their own little problem,
don't they?
Which causes a big issue, doesn't it?
So Mac and Knowles take too long, so they decide to start boarding up the facility. They're just like, apparently it's been almost 40 minutes, so they're going to board them up. They consider them as goners, don't they?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, but we basically find out that Niles found a piece of ripped clothing of Max kind of stuffed up in the furnace.
Amongst like the Fuchs remains, wasn't it? Or something like that.
And again, it's more crazy work from the thing. Because like it left a bit outside for Fuchs to find. He wasn't really having it. He already knew, didn't he? But Knowles is a bit more easily persuaded, isn't he? He just finds it and then that's it. He's just like, he assumes that McCree's been assimilated.
He connects the 2 and 2 and he says, Mac's a goner already, doesn't he? He makes his way back to the rest of the crew and they let him in.
Yep.
And he says, I ditched him. He effectively says, I ditched him, and then he pulls out the burnt clothing to show them all.
Yes.
To say he's been assimilated, just like you said, assuming straight away that he's been not using his brain at all because he doesn't consider how clever this thing could be.
Yeah.
And they all kind of are on board. They all pretty much agree and say, yeah, he's probably has been assimilated, because you probably would, wouldn't you? To protect yourself, you would say.
Well, it's a bit easier, isn't it, than just to question every single thing that's going on. But basically, the door handle starts to turn.
Yes.
And Mac is still alive. He breaks the window to the supply shed, and he manages to like fight his way in, basically.
And I thought it interesting just before he does break in, because Windows is saying we should consider letting him in, but then Palmer just goes, open it.
Yeah.
He's just like, open it. And they all ask him why. And he's like, because we can blast it away right now. But if he's assimilated, it's because he wants that thing to come in here straight, as soon as possible.
Do you want to know also how I found out he's assimilated?
How?
He's not smoking any more weed.
He just stops.
He's clean. He's clean. He's a clean guy.
He just stops. And I thought that was because of the severity of the situation, but it's not. It's because
he would be smoking more, wouldn't he? Because he'd be stressing the fuck out.
And he'd have more time to do it because he wouldn't be working, so you're right. But I just thought it was really interesting that even Windows, who is actually kind of Mac's friend and wants him to survive, says we should consider letting him in, but Palmer says open the door. And that for me was a big indication.
It's a bit of a given, isn't it? Yeah. Interesting.
Because no other person says that.
Yeah, so Mac makes it into the supply closet and he manages to retrieve some dynamite, and we get kind of like our third standoff of the film. I just said, wow, there's a lot of standoffs in this one.
And this is a big one.
Norris and Niles attempt to jump Mac. Norris gets knocked against the shelf and goes unconscious, stroke not breathing. We can go into this into detail really quickly at the moment, basically. So the thing can't imitate inanimate objects. And it turns out that Norris has a pacemaker. So a lot of people think that the thing mimics his heart condition. It thinks it mimics him if he were to have a heart attack. But he has heart problems. The thing doesn't have a pacemaker. So when he gets knocked against the shelf and his heart goes out of rhythm, he's fucked. And the thing is basically... The thing's not going to die, but Norris is supposedly supposed to die, isn't he? Because he's got really big heart problems.
I saw someone else saying that Norris has a blood clot. Therefore, the thing has a blood clot.
Okay.
So he gets pushed over. The blood clot gets, triggered or moved in his heart, and it blocks his artery even more, and then triggers his heart attack.
So they attempt to revive Norris whilst Mac is pressing the others on basically how they could just leave him out there to die.
Yeah.
They're kind of still plotting to kill him, aren't they, as well? Like, Clark sees a scalpel. He
Yes.
gets his hands on it immediately. And sort of, whilst he's dying on the table, they're still trying to kill Mac in the corner.
They're all trying to look at ways they can get in on him, aren't they? I think Knowles even looked at the scalpel at one point. So you're right. They're all trying to watch their own backs. And I think even... where he's holding the dynamite with the flare, isn't he? And Gary's like, he's not going to do it. Let's all rush him.
Yeah.
Like, so they all just don't believe anyone, do they? They all think everyone's lying. There's all this paranoia and distrust, and they're all sort of gathered around in that room while the CPR is being done.
Yeah.
And the doc grabs some paddles, doesn't he?
Goes to defib him,
shock
yeah.
Norris to try and start his heart back up, and we get another absolutely horrifying scene. Which
Snarly.
I don't know if you know how it was shot, but they got a guy who had both his arms amputated, and they connected gelatin, which had all they made makeshift bones and blood vessels and things, attached that to his arms, and then put a prosthetic on his face so that when his arms go in and the jaws shut, which is like a piston device, it chops off his arms. The amputee's arms.
So they could chop the arms off for real.
So it actually is the amputee in the shot holding his arms in the air and the blood spurting out, and with the prosthetic on his face going, which I thought was so clever because the way it's shot, it's really quick and you can't tell it's a prosthetic. But before that, it is actually Doc. So they balance it well enough.
That's amazing. For 1982, that is crazy work.
That's
like the fact that they thought about that. They did something similar in Spider-Man, didn't they? Where he punched through Sandman's chest. They got an amputee for that as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So that it's really cool that that was probably one of the first times they probably thought about doing that, didn't they? Not the first time in film history, but like
putting it into
practice
situation
like that.
And horror theme, and it's just you can tell how much they thought about everything they did in the practical effects.
So after Dr. Copper gets his hands bit off, we just get this absolute monstrosity just arise from the thing. And it's like an amalgamation of some of the things that it's killed already. Yeah. It's got Norris's face. It's Norris's face attached to the ceiling, whilst his body, so his head's can't. What's actually happened?
Two heads,
something's come out of his. So the thing's come out of his stomach and it's on the ceiling and it's got Norris's head, but Norris is also still dead on the table
with his own head.
And
it's
the head,
really strange.
So as we get everyone roll in and start to like kill it with fire, we get this scene where a piece of the thing breaks off and it tries to escape. You've already touched on this, haven't you, earlier?
His head so the head part of him on the ceiling gets burnt by Mac and the body sort of on the table.
Yes.
While that's on fire, it shoots out a tongue, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And attaches itself to something and pulls itself closer to it. And then just after that, sort of 3 legs, I think it's 3 legs, either side pop out. It might be 4 either side. And it starts to sort of scamper under the next desk and then scamper towards the exit where Mac has his back to. And then do you want to pick up from there? What happens?
It's just basically Palmer baiting out the thing, which is interesting to think about because it's cool to think about how the thing is not just one thing in itself, but it also shows that if it's individual, it will do as much as it can to survive, make sure it's the one that makes it out alive. I just thought that's very interesting.
It will sacrifice itself in order to give itself a better chance of survival,
that's
which is really clever.
Because there's more of them, so like why not? It's just like he's using his brain. So yeah, they burn the escapee, the thing, and then they regroup in the rec room, and Matt gives Palmer and Windows the job of tying the others up. Charles objects. Clark tries to rush Mac with a scalpel and he just gets shot in the head. Which is like, you take 3 steps towards someone and they say that's far enough, and then you lunge at them with a knife. What do you think is going to happen? Like, he's got a gun.
It is a bit like, wow, but then when you think about it, you're like, I would do the same thing because they were all ready to leave him out in the cold and then kill him once he got in there. So why shouldn't Mac defend himself in that way? Which is what he's continuing to do until the blood serum test that they do.
So Palmer ties up Clark and Doc, who are dead. I find it weird that Doc died from having both his arms bit off. But anyway,
I guess he just lost blood and then, but
basically, because they don't have any blood, do they? So they probably couldn't give him transfusion or anything like that.
But they don't really touch on it, do they?
No,
I guess because he's the doctor and Blair's also out of action. There's no one that can treat him anyway. But
we'll do this blood test, right? Because Fuchs is dead as well.
Yeah, but I guess they kind of don't touch on it because they think, well, doesn't really matter if he is still alive, because what's he going to do with no arms at this point? He's just going to get assimilated, isn't he, or something like that?
So we get this sick blood test scene. This scene is really good. You really get into like the thick of the film when you go into this. And to basically explain it in the simplest ways, when the thing's blood is attacked, it will try and survive. So it will quite literally scamper away from a hot needle if it needs to, putting it in the simplest of forms. Just so we don't waste too much time on this scene, I just did it very bullet pointy. So Mac tests windows, he's clean. And obviously it goes without saying that whoever is tested and found clean, they're then untied.
Yes.
And they get to do the test with McCready. Yes. So Mac tests windows and he's clean. Mac tests his blood and he's clean. Mac tests the Doc's and Clark's blood and they're both clean.
Yeah.
And it's kind of peak because he has just like, he hasn't killed an innocent man, but he is a murderer,
but Charles
put it.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. Mac tests Palmer. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Palmer convulses and shudders as he transforms. Mac's flamethrower malfunctions. And you've got like the thing jittering on the sofa. It breaks through its bindings and makes it onto the ceiling.
Yeah.
Mac tells Windows to blast it. And before Windows can even react, the thing's got in its jaws.
It like drops back down, doesn't it, off the ceiling?
That's what I mean.
Lands on its feet, and then, has jaws where its head would have been, and just grabs him, doesn't it?
And he's flailing him around the room. And in all honesty, this is the first time in the film where I thought the props looked a bit goofy. But at the same time, that's kind of the only time in the film that it happens. So you can kind of just sort of let it go.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's so many more things that you can look at and be like, wow, is that someone just getting killed basically in the head bitten off? You don't look into it too hard, do you? Mac burns the thing Palmer. Palmer runs outside and Mac blows it up with dynamite.
Yeah.
I just put haha, because he's literally there 1 minute, chucks a stick at him, and then he's gone the next.
Literally, you see the body disintegrate, don't you? And there's sort of like bits of clothes or whatever just fall down back on the snow. He's gone.
They get Mac back in because they're all still tied up.
They're all calling him. They're all shouting him, aren't they?
Windows is turning, and then he just burns Windows straight up. And it's good that they're not pondering anymore. It's like if someone's been touched, if someone's been bit, burn them. They're done.
And it's sad because I really like Windows. I thought he was a really good character, but you're right. You get that sense of it doesn't matter. Even if you liked him, he's not Windows anymore. So you've got to get rid of that thing.
Or Windows.
Yeah.
Mac tests Niall's blood, clean. Mac tests Child's, clean.
Yeah.
Mac tests Gary, clean. So we have our last few kind of survivors.
And this is where we get another sort of split, don't we? As these are the people who we can trust now, and the remaining people are probably the ones we can't.
So we get this scene where Charles is standing on guard with a flamethrower in this. We'll call it the coat scene.
Yes, the coat. That's a good. Yeah.
So Matt goes up to Charles, who's standing on guard, and he says, "We're going to check on Blair.
Yeah.
If he
We're
comes
going to do
back
the test
here,
on him. That's what they say, don't they?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sorry. So they're going to do the test
blood.
on Blair.
Yeah.
And they say, if you see Blair without us, kill him.
Yes.
Basically, because obviously, if he's the thing, then they're going to leave him or take care of him. And if he is, then he would have found a way to escape already.
Yeah.
And as the film goes on again, this is going to play into a little bit of the confusion as to why Charles abandons his post, but we will get into that as we go on later. They go to the tool shed and the door is completely wide open. So the cat's out of the bag, to put it quite literally. And Mac, Niles and Gary discover Blair's secret project. And fuck me, he's been busy, hasn't he? He's been a busy boy.
Down in the basement, he's been building stuff.
Just like me when I'm gaming, he's been in his cave, just like 8 hours straight.
But this also shows the intelligence of the thing.
Crazy.
And its willingness to travel to different places, whether it be our world or other worlds, and continue to assimilate. It's already planning to do that, isn't it? It hasn't even finished assimilating this Outpost 31, and it's building a spaceship to leave the planet. And it's just kind of like, wow, this thing is a force of nature, isn't it? It's crazy. It's not going to stop no matter what. And the only thing that can stop it is, as they say, burning it with fire, freezing it in the ice, or burning it at the molecular level. That's what they say, don't they? With acid or something like that. So, they find the spaceship and they're sort of discussing it. And they call out for Blair, but he's obviously not there because he's busy doing other things, isn't he? And I think they talk a little bit after that
Do you know what they mention?
What do they?
They say that he used the helicopter and tractor parts to make the
build
UFO.
it, yeah.
How
And you're
mental
just
is
like,
that?
wow.
You're just like, what?
And that makes you think as well that it can't just be Blair's intelligence, because humans can't do that.
No.
So it's got
absolutely
to be
not.
that this thing has assimilated something that can build a ship.
After we get this practically haunting scene where you find out that it's almost escaped by itself without any help from anyone, we get the return of the Thing theme.
Yes.
This singular note that obviously just brings with it a ton of dread inside the facility.
Definitely.
We see Charles has abandoned his post. The coats have been frantically hung back up in a different order. Again, we're not going to go too into detail with this, but we are going to compare this when we discuss later.
Yes.
A lot of people are very opinionated on this, but we'll say what we think when we get to it. As Matt, Gary, and Niles prepare to blow up the tool shed and its contents, Niles spots Charles abandon his post.
Yeah. And he sort of looks out the window, and for a brief second he sees Charles come out, and then by the time he's called over the others, Charles is out of shot, isn't he?
He's gone.
And then Mac realizes that the Thing has shut off the generator.
As we head into like kind of the third act of this film, Mac kind of comes to the conclusion that the Thing just wants to freeze and go to sleep to be found later. They decide that none of them's making it out alive.
Yeah.
They chuck dynamite down into the tool shed's floor where Blair has been doing his projects, and blows up the whole workshop, and then they park the tractor over the top of that.
Yeah.
Just to
they like ram it into the building,
just to be
don't
sure,
they?
which is good. But they're going all out now.
Yeah.
And after torching most of the station, they decide to make their way down and do the facility.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're blowing everything, aren't they? Yeah.
So they're going room to room. They're blowing it up. It looks pretty good. They've got like dynamite sticks on their
like their
chest.
Molotov cocktails. They're throwing them in the room, and then the dynamite goes in after. And
It's really good, and I like how they're just like fuck it, balls to the wall, and they're just like, this thing's got to die, or we've got to die.
Yeah.
And they're doing that. So after they've done all the rooms, they decide that it's time to go to the generator room, because it's like the last place that they haven't been to yet.
Yes. I felt a real sense of dread when they said, now the generator room, because I thought that's sort of the last point where the Thing would be. But obviously they go there and it's not there, because the generator's been completely ripped out, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's interesting to think about. It kind of tunnels a lot, doesn't it? So it tunneled under the shed.
Yeah.
And now I like that.
Everywhere,
yeah.
isn't
So
it?
You don't know where the generator room is, but as soon as you see them go down those stairs, I agree with you, where you're like, oh my god, like they're going to run into something.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be one of the things, or the thing itself, basically.
And you think that there might be like a standoff or something, but as Gary says, the generator's gone. Like it can't be repaired. It's not even there anymore.
I thought that was insane. Max says, can you fix the generator? And he says, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's just completely gone.
And they don't even show you it, which is just to show there's nothing to show. There's nothing there anymore. They can't survive by turning the generator on. So like you said, it's balls to the wall. It's him or them, basically. And even in that case, the humans aren't likely to survive.
As McGreedy and the others set charges, Gary is jumped by Blair, the Thing. He doesn't have his glasses.
Yeah.
And he's wearing long johns only. He doesn't have his coat on.
No coat, yeah.
It's nothing. So he
and he covers his mouth, which I thought was really smart, because there's no sound that can really come out of a human if your nose and mouth is covered like that.
Yeah.
He's not being stabbed or anything like that, so there's none of that noise. It's literally just suffocation, isn't it? So I thought that was really smart, the way he takes him off.
I didn't even notice that. He's darting around looking, isn't he? Because that's what the Thing likes to do. It likes to get them alone. And
Yes.
that's where it does its best work, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's the only way it can do it. So Niles hears and sees what's going on. We actually get this shot where he sees him being dragged away by his face.
And you think, what are you doing, Niles? Did you think that as well? Like, just walking off, no communication, doesn't say anything to Mac.
They're the last three alive.
They're
He just doesn't
the last
comment anything.
port of defence, and Mac, I guess he's just frozen in fear.
Yeah.
But he's seen enough at this point to not be frozen in fear. That should have happened already. He should have just said to Mac, "Did you hear that?" Or something, and then walked off straight away. And by the time Mac turns around, Knowles is gone already.
Gone, yeah. So
but it was weird that he just sacrificed himself for no reason.
It was quite strange. So Matt calls out, and he pretty much knows instantly when he doesn't get an answer, they're both gone.
Yeah.
Because he's a smart guy, and he acts fast, doesn't he?
And it's just silent, isn't it? So
Yeah.
he knows. And like you said, as soon as no one replies and there's silence for a second, he lights up that dynamite because he knows something is going down.
So he lights up that stick of dynamite.
It's really good he did. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. So he lights up this stick of dynamite, and almost before he even like goes to throw it, the thing kind of rushes him through the ground. It like kicks up a bunch of the floor, and it knocks him over and knocks the dynamite out of his hands.
Yeah.
And the thing sprouts tentacles out of the ground, and it grabs the detonator that he was going to use to set the charges, and it swallows it, basically, which is good because he can't set the charges off, but then it's bad when he goes to chuck the dynamite later. The explosion is like tenfold, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we get this horrible amalgamation of all the absorbed life forms throughout the film. You see bits of Norris, you see bits of the dog from the start.
Yeah.
It's like, it's got this massive, like, I can't explain what it looks like. You know, it's got that huge jaw with just these spiky teeth coming out of it, and you're just like...
And those teeth are huge, so you could consider that they're from another planet or another world, that it's assimilated some being, because it doesn't look like anything from Earth, does it?
Yeah.
That's what I thought as well. I thought this is a combination of all the things that it's assimilated on Earth, but also anything else that it thinks is useful at this time to take out Mac, basically.
It's crazy that when it's vulnerable, it does kind of grasp at straws, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like make itself look the most terrifying.
Yeah,
just
the biggest.
Just
the
like
most
try and scare
daunting.
people as much before they assimilate them, basically. The dynamite that Mac lit a few seconds earlier, before he was knocked over, he retrieves it.
Yeah.
And he gives it a good hurl and a good fuck you at the thing or whatever.
And there's a big boom.
Yeah, but it's good to note that Mac throws it and then he runs out of the room.
Yeah.
So there is time for him to escape. And a lot of people speculate that Mac was the first assimilated.
Right.
But it's not really the case, because they're like, how could he have escaped? How does that work? But he throws it. There's a fuse on the dynamite, so he has enough time to run out and leave. I didn't think there was anything wrong with that.
Isn't it? You've got a fuse on it, and that fuse indicates a number of seconds, so he would have had time.
Definitely.
Maybe he's got a bit extra time, but it's a movie, isn't it? You have to consider that.
Yeah, that whole place gets obliterated. It must have been all the charges they put down, but it just goes to show that the thing swallowing that detonator, it probably was the thing that did it in, because it swallows it into the ground. Mac just blows up the surface level, but then there's this chain reaction of an explosion. It's almost like a mushroom cloud, isn't it?
I think the problem is that the thing just wants to assimilate, but at that point it doesn't need to.
Right.
It's in a place where it's putting itself in a vulnerable position, like you said before.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like its instincts are working against it, because it could just stay away from that shack and not get blown to pieces.
Yes.
But I guess because it knows that there's still a part of it somewhere out there, because this is a theme that I noticed, is we talked about the self-sacrifice.
Yes.
It does it all the time.
Yeah.
I think it does it on purpose as a red herring to say, take this guy because you have no idea who the other one is now. So you can have that one, I'm still around. And it knows it's going to assimilate something else at some point. Even if it, freezes or gets burnt, it's still going to live somehow. So it just has this drive to just continue, just keep going,
That's a really good point. I really like that. Mac returns to the surface and slumps down. Charles finally returns and says he thought he saw Blair earlier when Niall spotted him leaving his guard post.
And he went out to follow him, didn't he? But got lost in the storm. That's what he says.
Max says that if one of them is the thing, then neither of them are in good enough state to do anything about it.
Yeah.
They decide to wait here for a while and see what happens. Mac offers Charles a bottle of liquor. Charles drinks. Max laughs. Credits roll.
Dun dun.
Yeah.
Dun dun.
So, wow.
So yeah,
this film is chef's kiss. It's so good. Like, it's so tightly knit. And I heard something when I was making my notes that filming was delayed so much during the process that John Carpenter had so much time to make the script airtight. And you really see that, don't you?
Like a whole year to write it, which is he says it's a long time. He's never had that long to write a film.
It just shows in the film, though, with the amount of questions that are posed, like the way you're thrown about so much, you don't know what's going on. And as we go into our discussion now, you know that he leaves it open-ended on purpose.
Yes.
So you can speculate. It's not one set thing. It's supposed to leave you guessing.
They had multiple endings and ideas that they shot, because Kurt Russell said they had loads of different ones and they talked about it for ages, but they ultimately decided to go with the first thing that they shot, which is that scene, which I thought was really interesting, that it all came back to that, like you said, not knowing really what who is still human
Yeah.
or who is assimilated. And I think nowadays, especially, people value that so much more, don't they?
They do.
Being able to think about it and go back to the theatres and watch it again, to improve your understanding of it and appreciate all the little details, how everything ties together.
You said this film is how old?
43 years and
So
43 days.
We're 43 years down the line and people are still speculating on what the actual answer is.
Yeah.
So that speaks for itself.
Yeah, definitely.
Like crazy. So I've done a lot of talking because I was driving the story. Do you have anything that so we can go back to any point in the story now and have a mention of anything? Do you have any like little bits?
I didn't write too much about theories because I think at this point most people have their own opinion or view of what happened.
Yeah.
And depending on what sort of person you are, you're gonna stick with one sort of view or version of it. But I think most people agree of what happened and that Charles is assimilated because he takes the bottle.
He does.
They're not supposed to share food or drink.
Good man.
That's just such a big thing.
Yeah.
If someone in the film says you shouldn't share your food or drink, and then at the end of the film someone does, and the title theme of the monster comes on, it's pretty clear that that guy is assimilated.
Let's nip this in the bud immediately. John Carpenter posted on Twitter that in that last scene, one of them is the thing,
Right.
but it doesn't say who.
Yeah.
And there is big speculation around Childs. Let me go on to what I was going to say. He left his post.
So the coat scene, sorry, yeah.
We get
We'll go
another
back to
shot
that.
where the coats are in different order.
Yes.
And what it kind of said to me is that Charles was on his post.
Yeah.
The thing showed up. There was a struggle.
So
he was assimilated.
Blair as the thing
Yeah.
showed up while they were going out
Right.
to see
And
Blair.
it frantically puts the coats back up, not knowing in what order it's in. And
Yeah.
if you actually look at the coat that was blue, it's Blair's coat. It's the cream coloured coat.
Right.
So people say that Charles's coat was a different colour.
Yes,
compared
I saw
to
that.
blue and towards the end. But it's number one, it's covered in snow. Number two, the whole place has been built up so there'd be soot all over you.
And it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't
at that
work,
point.
does it? Yeah. So I think that does point to the fact that Charles is a thing, but there is not a really common theory, but there is a theory out there that Mac is the very first one assimilated,
Right.
and he is the thing. And he is the only one that wants to make it out alive. So even though he's a really good leader, he tries to save people, this, that, and the other. It's going back to what we said earlier. He'll do anything to make sure he's the only one that makes it out alive. So whether you think that Charles is the thing or Mac is the thing, I think it's such a perfect way to end a film because there shouldn't be a set answer. It's fun for the audience to speculate and have their own theories. We're so many years down the line and people are still coming out with like what they think is happening. Some people think both of them is the thing.
Yeah.
And it's another standoff where they say, let's wait here and see what happens. Who's going to make it out alive?
Yeah.
Someone said that, because the game is canon, the thing game, at the start of that, MacReady is rescued and brought back and Charles is left dead in the snow. So MacReady would be the assimilated one to escape.
And then
anyway,
that game came out in like the 2000s or something like that. And I was just thinking, so that's like 18 years from when the film came out. Things change a lot, don't they?
Lots.
So John Carpenter probably changed a few things in his mind, like, oh, I thought it would have gone this way, but actually now that this amount of time has gone by, it should have gone this way in my head. So I think like different iterations or like the video game, they have their own like spin on it, and that plays into it even more, doesn't it? Because it gives you a new view. Oh wait, but Charles died. So it makes you talk about it even more, doesn't it?
So look at us.
he like plays into it. So I think that's why they do that, is to play into it more and to get people talking about it more, because but Charles actually died in the video game, so that means that he couldn't have been the thing. But no, when they shot that film and made that film and it came out, I think their intention was that Charles was the thing. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. So again, we're gonna beat this a little bit, but the common theory is that Max offered Charles a drink. He takes it and he sips it, so it's a given that he's the thing. But just going into it a bit deeper, I wrote down that the film starts and ends with MacReady feeding his enemy a drink.
That's true.
So it's like it's like he's playing chess. Whether he's the thing or not, that's like a way of him to get a bit of a better gauge on Charles.
Yeah.
To be like, because he takes a sip, they've shared,
like,
spit, assimilated.
play the game and win.
If he's not the thing and he thinks that Charles is, he's taken the drink and he's taken a sip out of it, so busted.
Yeah.
So people speculate as to why he gives him a drink and then he laughs. Some people think because it's like a got you moment.
That's what I think.
Other people think that it's him as McCready as the thing laughing, being like, I've got you.
Right.
I've he's not assimilated him, but he's infected him. We didn't use this word. You can be infected but not assimilated. So yeah, those are just like pretty common ways that people thought it would end. Again, we've said it a few times, but I just think it's cool that it's left open ended. I was watching the film and I was like, I don't really want to rack my brain thinking about this. Yeah. It's cool just to leave the film as it is.
I just like having my own sort of opinion and view on things from my experience watching the movie. And if someone else has a different one, then that's fine. If they think that Charles is human, then I would have no problem with that.
We'll just run through the cast of everyone, because I thought we'd give a shout out to everyone, because it's a big crew. We've got Kurt Russell as McReady. We've got A. Walford Brimley as Blair. Takey Carter, as Niles. David Clennon as Palmer. Keith David as Charles. We know Keith David, don't we? You recognise that voice anywhere.
Yeah.
Richard Destart as Dr. Copper, Charles Hallahan as Norris, Peter Maloney as Bennings, Richard Masur as Clark, Donald Moffat as Gary, Joel Pollis as Fuchs, and Thomas Waits as Windows. So just having that huge cast again just plays on the diversion of how you don't know who's who, what's going on. It's a big cast of people. If you're not good at remembering names, you're fucked during this film. You don't know what's going on.
It reminded me a bit of Alien, because Alien came out, I think, 3 years before, and you get that sort of feeling of camaraderie, and these people are like bonding together and having lived together for a while in this outpost, similar to Alien, where they're all on this ship for a while and they're all friends and stuff.
Yeah.
And then similar vibe, all hell breaks loose, doesn't it? And they have this monstrous thing coming after them. So I like how it was similar in that way, but also so different.
Yeah.
Because it just went all out, really, didn't it? And Alien used, people in suits, and they tried to avoid this completely in this film. They just wanted to use the animatronics, the puppeteering, and they did so well with it, didn't they?
So well. It holds up nowadays. Crazy to think about that a film so poorly received back then just gets so many people talking now. It's so popular,
so highly
rated.
And
it would do so well. It's almost like when a painter paints something and they're almost not famous until they die. It's quite tragic, isn't it? Because I said it at the very start of the film, but people said that the puppeteering animatronics overwhelmed the storyline of what was going on, and it's like it doesn't do that at all. Yeah, I don't think so. Fuck knows what they were smoking back then. Probably something that Palmer had, but
I think also it's a relation to cinema at the time.
Right.
So just a bit of information for you about when this came out. It came out the same day as Blade Runner.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
So the exact same day as Blade Runner. So you can imagine that sci-fi movie, Blade Runner, or this, you're probably going to pick Blade Runner. And then also the same summer, E.T. and Poltergeist came out.
Jesus.
So that's what it was up against. So a horror movie against a family movie, and Blade Runner, which is like a crazy sci-fi movie, it's probably going to lose to those two.
Stiff competition.
So you have to consider things like that as well. But also, even if those won't come out, it probably wouldn't have been that well received, because it was probably too much for people at the time, wasn't it? So
I think that's mainly what it was. People just couldn't get a grasp of it. It's a bit too fast paced.
So gory, it's all in your face. But nowadays, people kind of want that. They want stuff like that to think about.
And there's many variations of heads down, thumbs up, mafia. People are very aware of this. One person is an intruder. How do we find out who it is?
Yeah.
I think it's a lot more well received nowadays, because people are like, oh, I know this. It's like Wink Murder, something like that, because people know about it. It's more common nowadays.
But yeah, it's just because we're in this day and age now where people are more willing to accept it and watch it, I think. But
all in all, very tightly knit story. What would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10?
This has got to be a high one.
Tricky, yeah. Because I feel like I rated Fantastic Four a little bit too high. I was trying to shield the film a little bit.
Well, I'm always quite harsh with my reviews.
Yes.
But I would do this as like a 9.
Okay.
And the 9 for me is like freaking amazing.
I'd agree with a 9. I wouldn't. I wouldn't say like
my favourite movies I put as like a 9.5 probably, because there's always room for improvement, isn't there?
Of course.
But yeah, this is, I'd say, a solid
agree with
9
9.
out of 10.
And obviously, you would see this in cinema, wouldn't you? Can you imagine going to see this like back in the 80s, knowing what you know now?
Yeah.
It would be an insane experience. Would you buy
I'd
it?
go back and watch it now if it was re-released.
I would too.
Yeah.
I hope they do that, because they do that for some Star Wars stuff, do they? Would you buy it on DVD?
I think I have it on DVD.
We have it on
So,
DVD,
yeah.
absolutely.
But if you've never seen it, I'd buy it on DVD.
Absolutely. Well, that was our two brothers' reviews of John Carpenter's The Thing. We really hope you liked the video. We're going to get the editing process done. Hopefully, we'll pump this video out for you before Sunday. Really hope you enjoyed. This is episode 2 of our new mini-series. We'll have a little think about what we're going to do next, but expect a new video weekly or bi-weekly. We're going to try and stick to that routine. If you like the content, smash like, subscribe, and we will see you next time.
Catch you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.